It's Baby and Mary, we know you have been waiting, so here's another podcast about movies, Burn After Watching.
Welcome everyone to the Burn After Watching podcast.
Tu veux-tu recommencer ça ou?
Okay, we're gonna go again.
So here's another podcast about movies, Burn After Watching.
Welcome everyone to the Burn After Watching podcast.
Hello, hello, hello.
The only podcast recommended by 9 out of 10 dentists. And I'm your host, Borderland,
I'm Mary.
aka Bone Daddy.
Nice work, Bone Daddy.
What?
It's from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh.
Today, we are talking about a new film, Monster, by director, I might mess this up, Hirokazu. No, that sounds wrong. Hirokazu Kore-eda. Is that how you would pronounce
That's
this?
pretty good.
But before we talk about that, we're going to talk about everything we watched in the last few weeks. Before we get started, before we go into our watch list, subscribe. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, pretty much everywhere.
We are everywhere.
We are everywhere. Find us, subscribe, like, share, comment. Is there anything else you
That's
can do?
enough.
Yeah, that's enough.
That's a lot to ask for.
Yeah, just do one of those things. We'll be happy.
Okay.
Awesome. Let's get started because I'm excited because there's a lot of great... This is going to be a dividing episode.
I think so. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the first thing we watch, 2001, The Green Knight. David Lowery film. I mean, this was my favorite movie of 2021. This is a retelling of an Arthurian legend. So just think about like the Round Table, the Knights of the Round Table. Think about Merlin. Think about those kind of like legends.
Think about medieval.
The reason why I love this so much is, first of all, visually. You can't deny that the visual of this movie, the color grading, some of the things that they decide to, how they decide to show certain things. I really do love Dev Patel, who's basically carrying the whole film. Like, there's very little people in this film. It's mostly just him. And he's basically a knight who hasn't really earned the respect or hasn't went through any adventure or any challenges to basically earn the title of being a Knight of the Round Table.
And he doesn't have the right values as well.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like a set of values that a knights are supposed to have. And basically in this movie, the Green Knight come to the castle where he is and throw a challenge, the Christmas game, to anyone who is willing to take on the game. That can basically give him one blow. And whatever the blow it gives him with a sword or is the weapon of his choice, whatever, he will receive the same blow a year from then. 1 year hence, the Christmas game. And from there, it's like an adventure for him to go meet his fate. I loved it. I think like this is very much Lord of the Ring type movies.
Oh, no.
What?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's
no,
an
no,
epic
no, no. Well,
with monsters, with challenges, with mystical creature.
I didn't mind the adventure aspect. I loved it. It was entertaining. It was fun. It was beautiful visually. I agree with you. What I didn't like about this movie is, and I know that's the whole point, I thought it was a little bit cheesy.
What?
Yeah, you know, the fact that he has to earn those values to get his title, so he needs to be courageous. So I can't remember like all the values that he needs to acquire.
So one of the first thing is
he's very selfish, so he needs to be more generous.
So the
but
first
that's
thing,
not the right name for the value.
The first thing that happened is he get lost and he find this kind of teenager. It's actually played by Barry Keoghan, and Barry Keoghan give him basically direction to get to the Green Church where the Green Knight is. And he say thank you and kind of start to walk away. And Barry Keoghan is like, a coin for kindness? And kindness is the first thing. So the first thing is he didn't actually give him anything for the direction,
To thank him.
for the value of his direction to thank him. So he already failed the test. He had to be asked to give the coins.
So he basically fails most of the tasks
Yeah.
until the very last one, which he succeeds. But it's interesting, but kind of cheesy in a way.
What is it cheesy about?
The type of person you're supposed to be. It's very Catholic.
Well, I mean, it is an
Like you're
Arthurian
supposed to be-
legend. So it was written, like, this is based on a poem of like only 12 lines that was written in the 1600, or no, even before that, probably in the
Probably
13 or
before.
1200, or even in like the 800. I actually don't know.
Way down, no.
But like, this is an Arthurian legend, so it's very old. It's very, like, obviously Catholic as well. There's no Catholic challenges or like
No.
faith thing.
But it's very what you're supposed to be, and if you're not that, then you're not a knight.
Yeah, and like
So-
not really a good man, right?
Exactly.
For me, the ending.
I love the
It's not
ending.
what you would expect, right? Like, you would expect, okay, it's gonna go one way, and then it started going that way. It's like, oh wow, like they really, and they start going through a lot of years really fast, and then without saying the twist, it's not really a twist, but it kind of wrapped things up in a very interesting way. I think it tells an amazing story very quickly.
And it's funny because since we saw it, we keep, and this is not going to spoil anything, but we keep saying, off with your head.
Off with your head.
Did you know that the Green Knight, the actor that played the Green Knight, is the same actor that played the father in The Witch
Oh, really?
with that big voice?
I didn't know that. But it's a good movie, and I would definitely save it.
Oh yeah, big save for me. I mean, favorite movie of 2021. A great Christmas movie, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, it's the Christmas game. It all happened on Christmas Day.
But there's no Christmas. There's no
But it's the Christmas
tree.
game. Well, I mean, Christmas tree, I don't know if they were
That's a joke.
popular back then. I know. But I think it's more a Christmas movie than Die Hard is a Christmas movie, which is
Oh,
always
yeah.
thought was a dumb argument that Die Hard,
That's not a Christmas movie.
because it happened on Christmas.
I would save it and give it a 3 out of 5. But you know what? I just want to say that I think it's a movie that I would rewatch.
Oh yeah.
Knowing, the ending and everything, and maybe appreciate more. Because at first I didn't understand, kind of don't understand already what's in for him, what the adventure is
Yeah.
about.
And there's a lot of visual storytelling. There's a lot of metaphor. Like, visually, there's just so much happening. It's great. I love it. It's actually a 4 out of 5 for me. I don't think it's perfect at all, but it was my
That's
favorite movie of
high.
that year.
That's a lot.
Well, I mean, I think it could be higher. Like, I think if I keep rewatching it, eventually it could be higher. This is just not the type of film that gets done very often.
Next.
Next.
Oh, Saltburn.
Saltburn.
By Emerald Fennell. She also did Promising Young Women.
Yeah,
I really like that movie.
it's great. Saltburn, starring Barry Keoghan again, same actor from supporting role from The Green Knight. He's also in The Banshee of Inisherin, which is a great film from last year. So, okay, first of all, again, I think visually, one of the
Yes.
best looking movie of the year for me.
was good.
Cinematography.
It was good.
I just, some of the shot in there
Yeah.
are amazing. The use of reflections in mirrors and things, very interesting, especially when you know the story a little bit more and the theme.
Yes.
I personally loved it. I know you have your difficulty with it. I personally think it's wild, it's weird. I actually enjoy the weirdness. I read something like this where there's a few shots in there where you expect the director to cut away because it is uncomfortable to see, but she's staying with the shot and she make you kind of really stay in and give you a little bit of this, maybe the perspective of the character and like how that person is kind of torn between multiple facets of their personality.
He's very sick. He needs help. A lot of help. To me, it was a sad and depressing movie, trying very, very hard for the villain to be so villain. And he is. He's very villain.
But he's kind of like the protagonist at the same time.
I know,
He's
but
the hero and the villain at the same time.
he's not the hero. How is he the hero?
Well, I mean, even though he's a bad person, you kind of root for him.
Oh, no.
I kind of do.
At first, yes, because you don't know, right? You don't know. I think what bothered me the most is in the end, and I don't want to spoil anything.
No spoilers.
But there is a twist, and to me, it was ridiculous that the twist lasts for about 5 minutes for you to understand the whole story. I'm like, this is so unrealistic, and it's trying so hard to be so smart when the actions are so tiny. The whole story holds on nothing.
I disagree.
I know.
I don't think you need the twist for it to be a good film.
But they needed the twist to
I don't think so.
justify the story.
Not necessarily. It could have been just a story of things that just happen a certain way without anybody taking specific action to drive what's happening.
But it justifies his personality and his character.
It reframes some of his action that maybe at first you thought he's doing something for passion, he's doing something for lust, he's doing something because he's selfish. And it reframed them, and you understand maybe, okay, he's not doing this for those specific reason. He's doing it for a different reason, which that's why we don't want to talk about the ending because it would be spoiler. And I think it's a film that you don't want to know what's going to happen. Go in blind as much as possible. And I'm happy that the trailer is not selling some of the twists. I personally think that it works. I didn't need the twist, but I think it works. I think the film overall, I really appreciate the attention to detail, the storytelling, a lot of the things that are left open for you to really kind of just have discussion about. And I love this, that it's not just force-fitting you. Here's the story. Here's all the answer. I really like that it's ambiguous. And we
talked about it for a long time when we came back home, and we weren't agreeing, and we still are not agreeing.
Something else, Barry Keoghan in this film.
Gosh, he's so good.
He's so freaking good.
So good.
To be honest, when he was announced to be the new Joker, I was like, I don't know if I like this.
I know.
But this movie kind of sells me on it. Like, I love this.
Me too. And even if I didn't love that movie, I loved his performance.
Wow. Do you have an urge to rewatch? Because I have an urge to rewatch it.
Yes,
I feel like there's so much there.
Yeah.
And visually.
And I agree with you that the fact that she didn't turn the camera away when certain scenes are kind of hard to watch, honestly. I felt for him in certain scenes because he really needs help. And she has a way of showing that's kind of touching in the same way.
It's almost like American Psycho Christian Bale, where he needs help, but he's so in control of his decision. Like, he's making all those choices himself, but obviously he's not a stable individual. But at the same time, he's very much in control. Like, I feel like there's this person you should hate that you can also empathize with. And that's why I think he's kind of the villain and the hero at the same time. Like, it's crossing that line. The final scene.
I was going to talk about it.
Listen, if...
This is so good.
You buying a ticket just to see that.
The final scene.
It is glorious.
It is glorious.
It's amazing. I understand you don't like the...
No, but I love that final scene, and it's brilliant.
Wow.
It's brilliant.
It means so much.
And the song that's playing, that final scene
says so much.
might be the best scene of 2023.
Wow, yeah.
It's amazing. Just for that scene, I recommend you go see it. But it's a very confronting movie. And
I love that. Those are the kind of film that you don't see often.
On our Instagram page, I burnt it.
For me, it's a big save.
I think I would save it. I don't know. It's very rare that I'm feeling this way about a movie.
So it's coming out actually on Prime, Amazon Prime, December 22. So if you want to watch it
during
it
the
there.
Holidays. I would give it a 3-star.
Do not watch this with your family. Except if you have a very open-minded family.
Yeah. I don't know if I would save it or burn it. It's
but you're kind of like unsure.
Yes.
You were really much burned.
I hated it.
I loved it.
3 stars for me.
4-star for me. Woo!
Yeah.
Next one.
Dream Scenario.
Dream Scenario by Christopher Borgli. He's Swedish, right? Or maybe Danish. Borgli. Christopher something. Christopher Borgli. I think this is the best performance I've seen.
He's great.
From Nicolas Cage. There's a specific scene where he's making an apology. This is not something you would see from Nicolas Cage ever.
So maybe we could say what the movie's about.
Yeah. So basically, Nicolas Cage, whose character name is Paul, people start seeing him in their dream randomly.
Everybody starts dreaming about him.
Yeah, at first that it's a few people in his class that have seen him and they start talking about it, and people start realizing that they all seeing him, Nicolas Cage character, in their dream, and it becomes that everyone on the planet is dreaming about him and seeing him.
But it's not negative.
No.
You know, people are kind of happy about it.
It's funny.
And then he gets famous in a day.
He gets famous, and then people
Things go
start
wrong.
to have nightmare about him, and he start to traumatize people in their sleep, including his daughter, his students, and then it's just kind of like a descent into hell after that. And
Cancel culture. So it's a social commentary about instant famousness and cancel culture and how people treat you online.
It does a great job exploring how people get famous so fast and disappear as fast, and people get canceled, and people are not equipped to deal with fame.
Exactly. The impact on his own relationship with his wife, his daughters,
His
and
student.
how his own daughters are impacted by that with other people. It's a good idea.
What I didn't like is the first hour is kind of ruined by the trailer. The trailer has all the best moment of the first hour of the film.
I agree.
And this is not a long film. This is
I think it's an
an
hour
hour 40.
Yeah.
So the first hour, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen almost all the best part.
And that's what I told you. All the nightmares that we see
the
that
cool
we
part.
think they're cool are in the trailer. So
And then things take a different direction, and I appreciate it. There's a specific part in the middle that is very much like kind of like forced in
yeah,
to me, and I
That's
feel like
where
Sick of Myself did the same
I
thing in
agree.
the third act.
it went too far,
Yeah,
kind of.
it's too much on the nose. It's kind of like,
It wasn't natural in the movie.
and everything was subtle enough. It was saying what it wanted to say about
Yeah.
fame, about cancel culture. It
So-
gets to a point where it's just like, here's the message.
Like it's a specific moment. How could we explain without telling what it is? With like the future of influencers and how you could get influenced, and they took a part of his story.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was like, okay, no. And there's a specific device, like a physical device. I was like, is this a joke? And I think it's trying
kinda
to
look
make
real,
fun
though.
of it, but
yeah.
I didn't like it.
It's definitely like a parody of things that you would see in real life. And
Yeah.
also like how people would believe anything almost. It's funny because it's presented in a way where we know this is not real, but we are selling it to you. I think it's well done, but it's not really well woven into the narrative of the story. And it feels like the story needed something to like, okay, let's take this movie to the next step. And it didn't know how to like bring it like naturally.
I
So they
agree.
just brought it in.
I must say though, there is a reference to David Byrne, the
Yeah.
lead singer of Talking Heads,
And his big suit.
and his big gray suit. He's looking like a couch.
That's great.
And the final scene is kind of about that and his wife, and it's a beautiful scene to me. I liked it, but overall, I didn't love Dream Scenario.
I think for me, I would still save it because it's different. It's a 3 out of 5 though.
I would still burn it, just because of the twist. I didn't love it, and I would give it a 3 stars out of 5. I think it's a forgettable movie, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's not gonna age well too.
I personally think you should watch it because I think this director will, in the next 10 years, this is like his 3rd movie.
But I agree. That's what I was
Yeah.
wanting to say. That director is definitely
he's going to make a big film.
keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
And he definitely has, with that movie, Dream Scenario and Sick of Myself, a recurring theme about wanting to be famous, the downside of being
Yeah,
famous. Because
social
Sick
media.
of Myself is exactly what happens with
The
her.
culture of trying to get attention
Yeah.
at all costs. It's always a little bit odd, unsettling. There's always a little bit of like just a drop of ore in there.
I agree. I agree with you.
Okay, so the next movie is actually the movie I was saying that we might that it's a little bit like Saltburn to me, where there's potentially, after you've seen it, your opinion keep changing and changing, and you think about it a lot. And it is May December by Todd Haynes.
So I had seen it,
And you've
now
seen it twice now.
Yeah, I rewatched it with you. In the last episode, I said that I love that movie.
Yeah.
It was a 4-star out of 5 for me, and I stand by my position. I still love it, and I even saw other things that I hadn't seen.
So here's the thing. My first review on Letterboxd, when I review it, I give it 3 out of 5. My first review was Natalie Portman performance shined the brightest. I think she was the best part of this film. Julianne Moore is great, but I think Portman just so good. Then I thought that everything has this kind of odd, uncomfortable aspect to things that it's not really anything in particular, but there's something weird, like a feeling that it's unsettling, it's uncomfortable a little bit. There's obviously the story is uncomfortable, but even the scene that don't directly speak about this, there's this weird like, ooh, I'm not feeling this. It's a bit odd, which I like. Then I felt like the story was also like kind of able to go anywhere. This movie could have become a thriller, like a story of like people killing each other. It could have went a comedy way. It was a very strong narrative. Like the story was so good, and the character was so well fleshed out and so multi-dimensional that they could have brought the story multiple places. I thought I never knew what was coming.
So that was your first impression.
Yeah, and also I said that it was leaving me with a weird feeling, like something ugly is always around the corner in this film. And then the next day, I actually updated my score to 4 out of 5.
What made you change your mind?
So-
Listening to other reviews,
Talking with you
because
about
I had love it.
yeah, talking with you about the things that like, what do we think this mean? What do we think happened?
There's a lot left to our interpretation. There aren't that much of
fitting.
answers in that movie.
Definitely, and the ending give you so many more questions and answers.
I know.
and,
I know.
and I love it. So yeah, my update was, all right, this one truly requires some time to process. The more I think about it, the more I love it. There's lots to dig in and analyze. There's some key lines of dialogue that fully change my perspective. I'm liking it more and more, the way that it settled down with me. We're going to talk about the film openly. This is a
There
movie.
will be spoilers.
Yeah, it's available on Netflix right now. You can go see it anytime. If you haven't seen it, just skip to the next section.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to talk about the story without talking about key point. Also talk about our interpretation of it.
So it's Julianne Moore. She met her husband when he was only 12 years old or 13 years old, and she goes to jail for sexual assault. And so Natalie Portman comes to her house a lot later, because her husband is now 36
So this is like 20
years
years
old.
later.
Right. And Natalie Portman comes to their house because she will be playing Julianne Moore in a movie.
Yeah.
So to tell their story. So Natalie Portman
Is
wants to interpret Julianne Moore in the best way possible. So she asks, can I come spend some time at your home and learn how you cook, how you put on your makeup, what's the story, and ask questions.
yeah, so she's learning she's basically gathering detail for how she's going to play her.
Right.
So she's an actress, and that's a big thing about
The
people
movie.
playing are people themselves, or are people playing roles. Obviously, is one of the theme.
Yeah. And there's a specific scene where Natalie Portman goes to the school, one of the schools, Julianne Moore's daughter's school, to talk about, because they're studying cinema, I think.
So that's what I want to talk about. This is a scene that changed my entire interpretation of the
Yes.
film. So someone asked her, did you make any sex scenes in movie before? And she answered yes. And then she talks about doing sex scene in a movie is very mechanical. It's like a dance. You've learned it and you're just doing the dance at the right time. And that's what it feels most of the time. But she also says sometimes you spend so much time with the other actress, you start to ask yourself, am I experiencing pleasure right now? Or am I pretending that I'm not because I am acting in a film? And to me, when you look at the character of Natalie Portman, or basically obsession,
It says a lot about who she is and kind of unveils her true intentions.
yeah, is she really studying them for a film?
Or is she obsessed with the case?
Is she pretending? or not pretending that she's experiencing pleasure from doing this research. Because one of the big things
It's so interesting.
is at the end, when you see, so the end finish with you see her acting in the film for one scene, and
But it's so cheap looking.
yeah,
It's like a
basically-
B-roll movie.
It's like a B movie. It's basically a
Not
movie
B-roll, B.
that it's a shit movie. It's
Yeah.
a movie that never an actress would go to the length that Natalie Portman went through to play this role. This is like we're talking about TV movie.
And what's so weird is there is one scene in the movie. She's doing a monologue that she learned off by heart, which is a letter that Julianne Moore had wrote to her husband when she went to jail. And her performance is so good. Like, she's a great actress, okay? And then when you see the final scene, you're like, we know how good of an actress she can be. So it kind of confirms
Yeah.
that her intentions were just to...
And we're talking not about Natalie Portman, but the actress that Natalie Portman play
Mm-hmm.
is a good actress. And she proves it in the film. But the actual film that she's playing in,
It's kind of complicated.
it's
Sorry.
not a great film.
Natalie Portman ends up sleeping with Julianne Moore's husband.
Yeah.
And in that movie, he's basically like a teenager because he's with Julianne Moore since he's 13. He has kids, but in the whole movie, he's acting like a
kid.
teenager.
Yeah.
And even Julianne Moore acts
Boss
like a
him around.
mother. She bosses him around.
She's like his mom.
And he doesn't understand why she sleeps with him. He's like, oh, I thought, maybe it meant something. And she's like, well, this is what grown-ups do. Because obviously she's cheating on her husband as well.
And Natalie Portman is just another predator trying to take advantage of him. You think that Natalie Portman is there to
Has
help
good
him.
intentions, yeah.
But definitely she's not. She's just, baiting in her own obsession and willing to do anything regardless of his emotion and the fact that he's a trouble still kid, even though he's like in his 30s. She's just looking out for herself. She doesn't care. And like this is a direct reflection of how Julianne Moore also act with him.
And even Julianne Moore, because you mentioned that you really liked Natalie Portman's performance, but I really loved Julianne Moore too in that movie. She is so troubled, and you kind of don't know what you're supposed to believe because since she came out of jail, we learn by her lawyer that she keeps busy baking for the neighbors. So she gets orders to bake cakes. And there's one time where one of the neighbors said to her that they're moving out, so they're going to cancel their whole orders. When Paul comes home, she is a mess
Hysterical.
in bed. She's hysterical. She's crying. At that very moment, I kind of felt for her. I was like, okay, that's kind of sad.
But even the community is pretending. Like this is another thing, right?
Yep.
Natalie Portman even interviewed the lawyer that defended Julianne Moore, and she asked him, when did all of this sink in that she was going to jail because she preyed on a teenager? And he says,
It never.
Did it ever? Because this whole naive thing that she's playing is an act. And the whole community is just going along where you don't want to keep acknowledging it, but you can't get rid of the problem because they are unwilling to move and they are staying there. And everybody's pretending, everybody's smiling, everybody's ordering cake to keep her busy. And you can feel, though, there's tension. Like in multiple scenes where she interacts with people from the town, there's tension. There's like bags of poop showing up at their house. You can tell the community is unhappy.
They're walking to their house. Bags of walking to their house. I love that movie. There's so much to bite on. There's so many questions. Even now, I've seen it twice. It's okay. This movie is now in my top 5 of best movies of the years because we're gonna have a episode on that.
Yeah, we're gonna
movies.
talk about our favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
So this is for me. First of all, it's a save. It's a 4 out of 5.
Same.
Save 4 out of 5. I don't know yet if it's in my top 5. It's in contention.
Whew.
Next one. Oh, we. this is good. 3 huge, heavy movie, huge conversation. But we go.
Home Alone.
So obviously this is December. Christmas time is upon us, and we love Christmas. And we have like everybody probably, right? We all have our favorite Christmas film that we watch every year. And Mary's favorite film, Christmas film.
Oh yeah, Home Alone, the
Home-
first one,
Yeah, fuck everything else.
1990. Huh?
Fuck all of them. The other one, like 2 and up. There's 6 of them. Did you know that?
It's
fun.
Such a fun movie. It's comforting. It's cute. The fashion is amazing. The house is beautiful.
So I liked it. It's great. It's a classic. I do wish there was more. I feel like in my head, the traps and kind of like games and like all the stuff was like most of the movies,
Yeah.
but it's like the last 20 minutes. Yeah.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Like the last 30 minutes.
Yeah, not maybe like 20, whatever. Like it's not a lot of the film. A lot of the film is just him being alone.
But I like that.
But
And I
wish-
love the soundtrack. The soundtrack is amazing. I love when he gets groceries
Yeah,
alone
that's good.
and he has like his little coupon because he's 7 years old. And I love the way he answers to the cashier when she's like, "Oh, you alone?" He's like, "Oh, my mom is or my sister is waiting for me in the car." And then she finally asks, "Where do you live?" And he's like, "I can't say that. You're a stranger." And he's such like a little grown up. And when he steals
The toothbrush.
the
And
toothbrush,
he's all sad walking home.
Yeah.
I'm a criminal.
I'm a criminal. And when the 2 grocery bags just like explode, so cute.
I still
And,
think I would rather have more traps.
It's
with the
fine.
robbers.
And all his traps are good.
But I want more
are
traps.
Good.
I want more
That's
traps.
enough. You can watch a second one in
No,
New
I don't
York.
want to watch the second one. I want more traps. It's not enough. Like
He's
everybody.
7 years
listen,
old. Come on.
No, but it's not about that. Everybody that watch Home Alone, what are they going to talk about? They talk about the traps.
I don't agree.
I know it's your favorite Christmas movie, so obviously, like you think it's the best thing.
I love
but-
when the pizza man delivers the pizza and
But
bumps
it
in the
doesn't.
little
It doesn't
statue.
drive the story ahead.
It's just cute. It's
But I'm
fun.
just saying, people watch Home Alone for the traps.
Oh,
for the
come
thief
on.
getting messed up by a kid. That's what's fun. That's the best part. Everybody knows that. I want more traps. It should be an hour of traps, 30 minutes of the rest. It's a good film. It's not exceptional.
I never seen another Christmas movie this good.
What? Oh,
Sorry.
come on.
It's so good.
Okay, like she's obviously biased. Like she's just, it's her favorite film. She thinks it's the greatest thing of all time.
Tell me what other movie is great.
Jingle All the Way is better.
Oh, come on.
The Green Knight.
The
is
Dark
better.
Knight.
The Green Knight.
Next up, The Nightmare Before Christmas, 1993. And a lot of people think it's a Tim Burton movie, but it's not directed by Tim Burton.
It's from the mind of Tim Burton or something like that. It's like, I guess he came up with the idea maybe, or
I think
like
so.
a short story or like an idea for the script. But it's actually directed by Henry Selick, the same guy that directed Coraline. I don't know if I consider it a Christmas film. We had this debate. To me, it's more an Halloween film than a Christmas film. You think it's more a Christmas film, right?
I don't know. Maybe it's better to watch it in November.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like right after right after Halloween is actually the right time to watch it, because in the movie, you're in between those 2 seasons as well.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's fine. It's
It's
good.
a musical.
The songs are good.
It's an interesting idea. It's
fun.
fun.
The first 30 minutes are like 10 out of 10. Great. Like him, like the Halloween song, then him going into the Christmas town for the first time. All of this. I do feel like once he's like building this plan to like steal Christmas, it's not as good. The songs
I like
are,
that.
but like the first 30 minutes are like amazing.
Oh, I don't agree. The only part I didn't really love is with the Oogie Boogie.
Yeah.
With Santa Claus, when he's with the Oogie Boogie, I'm like, okay. But overall, it's a great movie.
No, there's still some great moment in the second and third act, but I think overall it's not as strong. The songs are not as good. Then This Is Halloween and whatever the What Is This? The other one are not as good. There's still a good song and there's still some good moment, but I think for me the Corpse Bride part with the weird scientist, I'm like, it's okay.
I like it.
And the kid, it's fun, but again, I just think that it's a really strong 10 out of 10 first 30 minutes, and then it gets more like 5 out of 10 for the rest of the film. It's still a great film overall. I give it 3 out of 5. And
I would
think
give it a
it's safe.
3.5 out of 5 and safe.
So this is time for Mr. Dan. This is my friend. He's going to review a movie. We don't know what he's going to talk about. That's it.
Welcome to another week of Dan's Review. This week, The Social Network.
Ooh.
Oh.
filmed in 2010 and has Jesse Eisenberg, Andrew Garfield, and Mr. Justin Timberlake. It's probably the fourth time or fifth time I've watched this
Wow.
movie. But since my original watching, I am no longer a user of Facebook, minus their chat functionality.
Oh, me too.
Main characters, I feel like I would not have interacted with them in my own university days. I feel like I probably would have beat them up. I just
What?
feel like they've
Is that a bully?
really written these characters so well, where you just want to reach into the TV like you're the girl from It and just punch them in the face. But one person you don't want to punch in the face now is Armie Hammer, as he will probably eat your hand as he is a cannibal. I'm sure there is a joke somewhere in there about those twins eating each other through the network itself.
He's talking about.
Great movie. All in all, it's got a lot of drama, a lot of weird interactions between the Napster dude and people who are not of drinking age, and some paranoia. For someone who's worth a gazillion dollars, he goes back and tries to add his ex-girlfriend at the end of the movie. That is what's called the slide back. And I, unlike Zuck, will not be sliding back to Facebook. Lastly, truly last gripe, Justin Timberlake tells Zucks to drop the in the Facebook. Why is this movie called The Social Network? 7.5 out of 10 stars.
Did you see that movie?
I did when it came out, and actually,
too.
I've been wanting to go back because this is David Fincher. So I remember watching it when it came out. And do you remember when they announced they were making a Facebook movie?
Yes.
How everybody thought it was the most ridiculous thing you ever heard.
Yep.
And it's funny now because now this is becoming a trend where product are getting movies. BlackBerry has a movie. Steve Jobs has
Lego.
Lego is an
It's just a
amazing
joke.
movie. Minecraft is getting a movie.
Ooh.
But I mean, like, this is more a video game. But like companies,
My coffee is kicking in.
the Tetris movie, like a lot of like IP, like product and stuff like this. The hair movie for Jordan or whatever. I remember it being good, and I recently I've been hearing a lot of people saying like, oh, it's so good, it's one's David Fincher's best, and it's such a great film. And it's been too long. I really need to rewatch it.
Okay, so here's what we'll do. We're
What
going to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Dan, we're going to rewatch this movie, and we're going to talk about it in next episode.
I mean, I love David Fincher.
Me too.
Probably one of my favorite working director.
Yeah.
Gone Girl.
Oh my God. So
7?
So good.
7. Gone Girl.
I thought you were giving it a 7.
No,
I was like,
no.
okay, this is low.
Gone Girl, 7. The Killer, which is great. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. But yeah, David Fincher is great, and I've been wanting to rewatch The Social Network because it's been so long. I don't know about this Armie Hammer cannibal stuff. I don't know if it's a joke or if it's real life.
We're going to rewatch it.
I'm gonna need to dig into that.
Okay.
Anyway.
Next movie, we watched Shoplifters.
So this is our spotlight movie. This is a 2018 Japanese film from the same director, Hirokazu Kore-eda. First time. So I've never seen any film from this director before this week.
Me neither.
And the reason why we wanted to do Monster is that we saw that he won Best Screenplay at the Cannes Festival this year.
Shoplifters is 2018.
Yes.
And it's the story of
So it's a family, a Japanese family.
with not a lot of money.
Yeah, a poor Japanese family that basically the dad teach his kid to shoplift to survive. At the beginning of the film, very early on, they see a little girl playing outside.
She's not playing, but
Well,
anyways.
she's outside by herself. She's like, what, 6, 7?
And it's cold out.
Yeah, it's snowing.
Yeah.
So they bring her home to feed her and let her...
Keep her warm and
Yeah.
just...
And they kind of end up keeping her.
Yes.
The family that... The parents of that little girl never report her missing. And we it's kind of like understood that they're not really good parents.
It took 2 months for them to report the little girl as missing. So we kind of get what type of family they are. They just don't
And
care about her.
She has burn mark and she have bruises,
Scars. It's super
So-
sad. Yeah.
and basically you just kind of follow this family around for like something like what 4 or 5 months maybe.
And there are beautiful, beautiful moments. Very just ordinary life as a family eating noodles. I went to buy ramens after that movie because
And corn.
yes, and corn. And the little girl seems just so happy. She's well taken care of. They go shopping with her. There's one scene where she's trying on bathing suits because she never went to the beach, so they want to bring her to the beach, and she asks her mother, well, it's not her real mother, but she asks, so you're not going to hit me, right? So we kind of learn that she was
So because she has to choose between 2 dresses and she's wearing one, and the mother's like, oh, this one is like, do you want this one, right? Like it would look better. And then I think the little girl wants the other one, but she's scared to saying that she wants the other one.
oh, I didn't
So
get
she's
that.
like, you're not gonna eat me. I think it's
eat
like
me.
hit me. You're not gonna you're not gonna hit me, right? It's like you're not gonna punish me for wanting something. I think that's the way I read it actually. But it's
So
very
we learned
quiet.
that she was getting
Yeah.
beat up by her family, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's a very slow movie,
quiet.
quiet, beautiful scenes, just a loving family in their day. What's happening in a day? There's one particular scene where it's filmed from like the top, and they're looking at fireworks, but the way it's presented is so gorgeous, so gorgeous.
It's kind of a slice of life, and you just follow them around. It's really not your typical, like there's not a lot of things happening. It's very just, you follow the character, you get to learn them, you get to learn the dynamic of the family, and slowly there's little things, little hints about like maybe this family is not normal. Where I'm not saying like Parasite where they're killing people. I'm saying more like it's maybe not the more typical family that you would expect it to be, and the way that they are presenting themselves is a very certain specific way, and then maybe there's advantages to that.
And it's also questioning what it is to be a real
family.
mother, a family, what it takes for a child to evolve in a family and to be happy. It's a very interesting
Yeah.
movie.
It's kind of like going after the definition of what is a family, and at some point, so towards the end, in the last like maybe 30 minutes, this is where like there's a sharp shift in where the story is going, and maybe there's something you would expect to happen, but you wouldn't expect everything it kind of unveil.
Yeah.
Right? This is where like the characters are asking very specific question about family, about motherhood, about fatherhood, about what it means to be a family. And basically this is the movie asking us to reflect on those things. What I wrote in my review is that it's a heartbreaking story delivered like a whisper. Where it's just so tender and quiet.
Yep.
And it's bringing you in this beautiful but not pretty kind of story where there's a lot of hurt people, there's a lot of misunderstood people, and there's a lot of people that wish they could have something and they can't have it, and they find a way to actually create a positive impact in the world while fulfilling those needs. And you can definitely argue that they are doing something bad,
Yes.
but it's it's delivered such a beautiful way. It's
I
hard
agree.
to not empathize with them.
We could say it's a dramatic story,
Yeah,
But-
I'd say so.
there's no screaming, and
No,
most of the reactions are calm. It's kind of weird, but you can immediately tell that it's not an American movie.
yeah,
The storytelling, the way actors, their reactions. It's a very interesting movie, very deep, very touching movie. And even though the story's sad, I felt relaxed
yeah.
when the movie ended, and it had so many questions. And
It's funny because we both never seen any movie from this director, and right away now I would watch anything.
me
he does.
too. His vision, the way he presents things, and he doesn't say everything as
No.
well. We love that.
Yeah.
It's just
Show
So
don't
good.
tell.
so good.
It's not force feeding. This is a big save for me.
Me
Great
too.
film.
Me
4 out of 5 star.
Me too. I was so happy, and you too, because I think we watched it on Thursday evening, and we were
Yep.
going to the cinema Friday to see Monster, and I was even more hyped to see Monster.
Let's talk about it. Monster
Monster.
is new film. So
Mm-hmm.
same director. There's actually one actress that is coming
The
back for
mom.
this film. Who play another mom. So Monster, I'm going to quickly talk
Yep.
about the story. This is when a mother or young son, Minato, start to behave strangely. Basically, the mother get worried, and she basically understand that a teacher at his school is mistreating him.
Supposedly.
Yeah. So she believed that the teacher is mistreating him, telling him he has a pork brain, that he's no good, and he's actually hurting him. So
Physically, yeah.
he had a bloody nose and a hearing, not a hearing, sorry,
Ear.
a ear that was bleeding as well.
Yeah.
So she goes to school to kind of figure out what's happening.
That's the story that we're presented.
So if you haven't seen it and you want to go see it, I would say stop listening now,
Oh, yeah?
because I think we're gonna talk about the film with the spoilers, because it's gonna be very hard to talk about it without actually talking about some of the big theme. Quickly, it's a 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5 for me, and it's a huge save. Go watch this film.
It's amazing. It's incredible. And it's so important.
So if you don't want anything spoiled to you, stop here. We recommend it. Go watch it, and let's talk about the story.
So the story is presented in 3 different perspectives. And there's always a reference point, which is the bridge with the fire trucks on it. And it kind of restarts the story with a different perspective.
What a smart way as a director, right? You're going to go through the same story 3 times. And you don't want to have to write,
3 years later.
well, like, yeah, 3
Before.
months before, 3 months, like, or rewinding. So you use an impactful image. So in this case, you have fire truck going towards a building, and then you have a building burning down. And every time we rewind back in time, you use that as a signal to the listener, to the viewer. We are now back in time, and we're gonna go through this again through a different story.
So smart.
So the first narrative that we follow is the mother and the son, but mostly the mother, right? So we follow her the most, and she learned about her son being mistreated at school, and she goes to school to complain. The school is unwilling to actually help her.
They keep apologizing, but not doing anything about the problematic teacher.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
a very
love her
specific
in that
teacher.
role. She is there for her son. I love the way she's aggressively wanting her son to be okay and
Yeah.
protected. And so it's, you really, at that point, you really believe that the teacher is doing harm to Minato.
And she's not like hysterical, right?
No.
She's coming in and she's worried and she's concerned. And she's like, do you understand what this man is doing to my child? There's just a bunch of people coming in every meetings and just apologizing and looking at their notes and being like, well, we know that we can see
We hear your concerns. They're just
and we can confirm that his hand touched his nose. But it's like, yeah, he hit him. But it's like, no. What we're saying is that
There
can
was a
confirm
contact.
There was a contact.
And in the movies, it's like, this is a contact. It's
Yeah.
so good.
In that section, you meet the professor, Mr. Ori, and Ori come in to apologize, and he seems like a bad person. You don't like him. And then the first rewind happened. This is maybe 45, 50 minutes into the film. And now we follow Mr. Hori. We learn that it's a big misunderstanding. Perhaps the son is actually bullying other students, and Mr. Hori was trying to control and like make sure everyone was safe, but he's actually very caring.
Yes, and there's one specific moment where Minori has a fight with another boy. Minato, sorry. And that's when he gets his ear hurt.
Yeah.
And the teacher, Mr.
Hori.
says, listen, I'm not going to talk about this to anyone to protect them, But that's when, in the first part, he's held responsible for protecting them.
And the nose was that he was actually trying to stop him from destroying the class, because they are at school, in primary school, and he was basically making a mess in the class, and he's trying to stop him, and then by accident he bumped his elbow into his nose.
Yeah.
And right away he cares for him, and he brings
Sorry,
him to the nurse
Infirmary.
or something. Yeah. So the whole things get flipped, and also you start seeing his side of how the meeting goes. And the fact that every time he apologized, everything he said was specifically told by other people. This is what you're going to say when you apologize. Exactly. You see the control of the school trying to protect the school reputation, and they're not willing to do something because they know that Mr. Ori actually did nothing wrong. They believe him, but they have no choice.
And there's also, in that second rewind, you see, what's his name? Minato? Minato trying to protect one of his friends getting bullied.
I think it's that in the third rewind.
Oh yeah?
Because in the third rewind, we follow Minato, the son. But I think we see some of it.
Some of it.
But we really follow Mr. Ori the most, I think. He has to leave school because it basically get to a place where the rumors and everything are so bad. He has to leave school. Nobody likes him anymore. And it's weird because the students are... It feels at that point where the students are scared of either Minato or Mr. Ori, to a point where they are unwilling to talk and tell the truth about the fact that the professor didn't do anything wrong. And we have this accumulation point right before the rewind where he walks to the ledge of a roof, and then it cuts.
So we can suppose that he might want to commit suicide.
In the first part, when we follow the mother, there's a time where our son disappears. And she's looking for him, and she basically, a neighbor told her that he was on his bike in a specific section, and then she goes there and she finds her son in kind of a
Tunnel in water.
Yeah, like
Akudzu, kind of like.
Yeah, I think I see.
It's like a big
like
metal
a sewer,
tunnel,
like
and with a little bit of
sewer,
water.
yeah, like a tunnel sewer with water, and he's just playing in there, and he's singing this song, "Who is the monster? Am I the monster?" And this comes back a second time when we follow the teacher, where he figure out that Minato was closer to one of his classmates than we actually potentially believe. He then go with the mother into this tunnel to see if they are there.
Because their little camp was in a abandoned wagon train.
Yeah, so when we do the third rewind, this is where we learn that Minato is actually torn with a friendship with one of the school children that is actually...
Oh, he's in love.
Well,
he thinks he's in love with his friend.
But he doesn't, also, so this other children is making fun of because he's different. And I don't know if the other children know that maybe this children is homosexual or bisexual, but they're making fun of him. And the dad of this children, I don't remember his name, tell him that he has a pork brain. And Minato is kind of in this weird where don't talk to me in front of other people. And he's kind of torn between being friend with him and also he doesn't want to be associated with him because he has emotion for him.
At that moment, it's like, oh my God. You understand that the teacher has nothing to do with it and he was just trying to protect them.
Twice, you relive all the event and it totally reframe the perception that you would have. And it's not just a gimmick where it's it's truly a game-changing amount of information that totally changed the way you perceive things. The way that Dream Scenario wanted to make a commentary about how fast we are canceling people, how fast people go through, purely based on perception, and things might not be real. We are canceling people out of nowhere. This is also attacking a similar subject where this teacher is getting basically canceled, right? Has to leave school, resign, blamed for everything, and then as information comes in, totally reframe. And we have multiple character. The principal is another character that basically you learn more and more about them, and it reframe the information in a way that you totally change the way that you see the character and their story.
Really touching an important subject where Two young boys are questioning their own feelings. The fact that they can't openly talk about it to adults, like his own mom.
And one event that get reframed once that becomes heartbreaking is when he get hurt on his ear, his mom take him to the hospital to get like basically checked up, and he does a MRI, like you get checked on the machine, and
Which was non-necessary for the ear. It was the mom's request.
yeah, it's like, oh, like let's just make sure everything is fine. And the son on the way back from the hospital keep asking her, did they find anything? Is something wrong with me? And she's like, no, everything was right. And once you go through the story 2-3 times, you understand that he thinks something's wrong with him, and he thinks this would show up, or he wants, I think, something to show up medically, like on the MRI scan, to be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. My emotions are caused by something that is there. A doctor can see.
So it's super sad that at that young age, he can't even experience, oh, am I, do I like women and men? What am I,
Well, I don't think he even
That's
thinks about
queer.
this.
No, he doesn't know what's...
He's just confused. And he thinks like, this is not normal for me to feel confused. He doesn't know why he's confused. He doesn't know that it's wrong or right. But I think he's looking for an answer.
Yes, but he's been told by his mom that your dad will come back once you get married and have kids. So...
Not come back.
That your dad or...
That
I'll be there for you.
I'll be there for you until the day you have your own family.
Right.
That can take care of you and you can take care of them. And
That's
at some point he says, maybe I'm not like dad, right?
Exactly.
In the sense that maybe I won't be able to get that.
It's such an amazing movie. It's so good. And the end.
The ending. So the hurricane, the two kids are in the train wagon.
Playing.
And the hurricane happened, and basically there's a landslide that covered the train, and the mom and the teacher are going there to find them. And once they get there, it's totally recover. And basically they are able to kind of open one of the window and look inside, and then it cuts. And this is how the second story end. And in the third story, we see the kids' perspective, and then they are in the train, and again, the landslide happened. And one of the key thing, and the end is kind of open to interpretation. Here's the way that I'm seeing it.
I agree with you.
Earlier, when they were playing together, they saw a train track, and there was a gate that stopped them from going across. And the train track was like over a bridge. And one of the kids said, this is the end of the line of the train, basically, right? And at the end, after the landslide, basically, they come out of the train, and it's sunny, and then they run through the field, and then they walk towards the train track, and the gate is gone, and they just walk past.
No, they run. They're
run
running.
past.
They're laughing, music, as if they're free to be what they could be.
The fact that the gate is gone and that this was the end of the line, to me, like, I personally think that they've died.
Me too.
And so one scene that right before we are about to rewind, there's this weird it sounds like a saxophone noise. It's not music. It's like and in the first two story, you don't know where it's coming from, and it's kind of unsettling. It's weird. You think that it would start to become music, but it doesn't. And in the third storytelling, when the son is in the school, he talks with the principal, and he asks her, basically, he kind of admit to her that he's in love with the other boy. And he basically asks a question about if it's possible to be happy if you are different. And she answers something like, happiness is not reserved to normal people. It should be with everybody. And you can tell that he has difficulty expressing how he's feeling. He's a kid, and he's navigating very complex emotion. And she's going through something very similar. And they are both in a place where they are unable to talk about their emotion because it's very heavy, very complicated. And this principal went through a lot of guilt, and most likely it's experiencing a lot of stress from our situation. And what she does is she give him a trombone, and she take a tuba, and she says, just blow hair into it and let it speak for what you can't say. and they blow into the instrument, and that's the noise you've been hearing the two first time. And I know you didn't care for it, but for me, that's the moment that I started to cry. It was so much like the fact that you can't tell something, but you have so much that you need to let out, and the noise that they created together in the scenes, and the principal is crying as she's doing it, was just heartbreaking. And
It's
that's
a
it.
beautiful movie. I would save it. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Same thing. Save it. 4.5 out of 5. I think it's better than Shoplifter.
Both are great. I love both.
But you give it a higher score.
I love both.
So to me, this is one of the best movie of the year. If you have a chance to go see it because it's really good. I know it's not everywhere. I'm so happy that we discover a new director. It's not something you
Me
do
too.
often, right?
I agree. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. It's going to be a long one.
Yeah, and the next one might be even longer because we are talking about Poor Thing.
Oh my God, I can't wait for it.
And this has been a movie we've been wanting to see. Anticipation.
Emma Stone in
for,
that movie, she seems amazing.
It's been
I
like,
have
what, 6
high
months?
hopes.
6 months we've been wanting to see it.
Next Friday, December 22nd.
I'm excited.
We're also going to watch The Favorite.
Yes.
That's going to be the spotlight movie.
Yeah, I think so.
Feel free to leave us a comment if you are watching us on YouTube.
Subscribe.
Hope you enjoyed the episode. It was nice chatting with you.
Like, subscribe, go follow us everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, Google, podcasts. Leave a comment, leave a review.
Have a great day.
Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice work, Bone Daddy.